And one of the amazing gals in my team, our app security specialist, Maria, we were talking about kind of some of the challenges in the industry. And she was like, do you know, I just don't feel this. I don't see it. I don't feel it. I feel like I've been able to really achieve as a woman. I don't feel like I've had any blockers, and I feel like I've been supported. I was like, yes.
Hey everyone, welcome to Cyber Sisters podcast. Today we have a really, really exciting guest amongst us. She is a female Chief Information Security Officer with years of experience across technology, cybersecurity, compliance, and fraud prevention. She's worked at companies like PwC, IBM, EY, Barclays, Lloyds, TSB, like the list goes on. And for me personally, we can go into the professional side of things, but for me personally, she was introduced by one of my mentors, and the first ever conversation I had with her, instant warm feeling, instant kind of, this is not your usual CISO. She brings this energy, this vibe, and you'll see all of it. She's one of the most amazing women I know, and I'm really, really excited to welcome Brunwin to our podcast today.
Thank you so
Hi,
much.
Brunwin, our first ever guest.
I'm so excited to be here, and you two need to be hype girls, but that's the most flattering intro I've ever had.
Oh, I love that.
We try.
It's honest. It's an honest introduction.
And it's by no means, I don't think I've done any justice to who you are as a person.
There's so much more.
And we're going to unpick
We're
it
going to
all.
unpick.
Yeah.
So happy to be here to chat.
Yes, so excited. Who is Brunwin outside of cybersecurity?
So outside of cybersecurity, I am a stepmom to an amazing stepdaughter, Joy. Shout out to Joy. She's
How old is she?
She is 19, and she's fabulous and fierce, and I love her to bits.
Love that.
I'm also an identical twin. So shout out to, I know there's two of us, double trouble.
I
Yes.
never knew this.
There you go. I'm always a little bit keen to do some social engineering and see if she can come in and pretend to be me.
I love.
So yeah, that's great. And I have a lovely family. My mum is back in Ireland. I have an amazing sister and brother. My husband is a street artist who is fantastic. His name is Dot Masters. And yeah, I am just, I love doing music. I love reading. I love hanging out with my amazing friends. And I also love telling everybody about security all the time because I'm a bit of a nerd.
And how old's your stepdaughter?
She's 19.
19.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yeah.
Oh
she's
my gosh.
she's all grown up now.
Is she gonna get in cyber or not?
She is an artist, so she's
Okay.
she's very much on she takes after her dad, and her mum is an academic as well, so she's got double smart brain.
I
So.
love that.
But I'm just like, that's amazing. Like, so different, like cybersecurity and artist. And
Yep.
they probably do come together at some point, right? Because
Yeah.
cybersecurity, I feel like we'll get into it, but what cyber lacks is storytelling. And we know, and I know we've got some questions on storytelling.
And the
but
creative side.
Yeah.
Awareness roles need it. And just being able to be different and out there.
Yeah.
I think cyber, not everyone, but we just need more of that.
Yeah.
We need people with different backgrounds,
Yeah.
skill sets.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
All right. There is a question that I feel like most of the viewers may want to know
Yeah.
if they don't know. And since you are our first guest, it's important that we articulate this well. Yeah. No. So what is a CISO? Because we talk about it, we know it's the most senior role, but what is it? What does your day look like? Like, explain it to as though you're explaining it to a 5-year-old.
So basically, I'm basically accountable for the security of our company end to end. And that means everything from the security of the products and services that we deliver to our customers. It means the security of the third parties that we do business with and the ecosystem that we operate in, the security of our people, security of our processes, our back office, everything that kind of sits with me. And basically, I partner with the business to make sure that we've got a secure culture, that we're all doing the right thing, that we're all really aware of security, and we're trying to build it into our DNA and our everyday behavior, and just really foster kind of an inclusive, secure environment. So it's really broad brush strokes. There's so many areas to get into, and I'm really lucky to work with a really amazing executive team and partner with them every day.
See, that's the best explanation I've ever heard.
And so concise.
Yeah.
I was listening to that like, oh, wow, yeah, that's excellent.
But it's just the way you described it. It's not just technology,
Absolutely,
processes, people, culture,
Absolutely.
customers.
Yeah.
It's everything. And it's really interesting. That I don't know why I just remembered this. I remember this one time I was in a taxi, and the man who was driving us said, okay, so what do you do for a living? And I said, oh, I work in cybersecurity. And he was like, okay. And then he said to my friend, like, what do you do? And she's like, I work in tech. He's like, that's a good job. You need to work in tech. And I'm like, and then I'm like, I'm glad he didn't ask, because I'm like, I don't know how to explain what I do.
But it is tech.
I know. But the thing is people do not know. Like, it's difficult to articulate. Like, it's a very complex subject, cybersecurity, and there is so much to it. So I think you did that really well.
Assumptions. People just every time I speak to someone that's not in the industry, straight away they're like, so you code? Oh, you're so smart. I'm like, no. I'm not. But it is what it is. And yes, that explanation, I think for people that have a presumption or they think they know, I think that was spot on.
Yeah, that's really good. So who inspires you?
So I am very lucky. I've got a lot of very inspirational folks in my life. I would say, first of all, my lovely dad. We lost him a few years ago, but he is very much still with me in how I live and kind of how I approach life. My dad was amazing, right? He was an engineer. He was a managing director of an engineering company. So super smart and super kind of, very good at kind of problem solving and all that. He was also a ventriloquist and he had his own TV show on Irish TV.
Really?
Which is so bonkers. It's such an interesting mix. Famous? He was very famous. Yeah, he was on TV in the States on the equivalent to kind of the X Factor in the 50s. Yeah. He had like a fan club. He had a cartoon strip in the Irish National Press. He was really famous for a while. There was also a lot of creepy dummies around our house as well. So like, if you don't like ventriloquist dolls, they can be quite creepy. But you know what he brought? He was also probably the kindest person I've ever met, and he just had this huge integrity and huge compassion and care for people. And he really instilled lots of kind of really great values in me and really inspired me. And so I'm often like, what would Dad do in this situation?
I love that.
But it also, I think for me as well, to see that breadth of like somebody who's so multifaceted and has that very strong creativity and kind of storytelling, and then that kind of more mathematical engineering side, that's definitely a little bit of me as well.
I love that.
Yeah. Now I'm curious. So the people around you are creatives. They're fun. You haven't mentioned anyone in the family or potentially friends in the tech group. So what was like your dream job growing up? Was it cyber? Like, how did we get here?
Oh my goodness.
How did we get to CISO?
I have to confess this, right? And it's not very politically correct, so I apologise, but I'm just going to say I'm quite old, so it wasn't really a problem at the time. So my childhood ambition was to be a big fat lady in a shop selling sweets.
I love this.
And like I held that for quite a number of years, like when I should have known better.
Why was that?
It was just to kind of look after people and bring joy and kind of be part of a day, part of someone's.
I do love that. I've never heard that. But I'm like, it makes sense.
Right. I'm working on it. I'm eating a lot of sweets. have smart, achievable goals, ladies.
Oh, I love this.
But I think again, it was very much like I really care about looking after people, and I really care about bringing a bit of joy and a bit of fun to kind of the day to day. So, I try and bring that to cyber. But yes, I mean, it's certainly a long way away from a sweet shop.
How did we go from sweet shop?
Exactly. Well, it's also interesting, right? Because I had a little bit of I think, they call them squiggly careers, right? And I'm definitely a squiggler. I studied, my BA was in philosophy and classical studies.
Okay.
I did a master's in classics, and I really loved the subject. And then I was kind of like scratching my head. I didn't really know what to do.
So what do you learn in classic?
Okay, that's a great question. Everything about kind of ancient civilization. So philosophy, art, archaeology, politics. My master's thesis was on religious propaganda used by Mark Antony and Cleopatra, which again was kind of social engineering at the time, but they didn't call it that, right? Yeah. So, and I really loved the subjects, and I kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do. And at the time I was studying in University College College Dublin, and they had just launched a postgrad in computer science. Now, I was actually typing my thesis on a typewriter, right? I was that late an adopter. I was like, what is this email thing? Like, I was like, literally, like, I go to a lot of tech conferences and their icebreakers are like, what was your first computer? And I'm like, it was a PC in the computer lab when I was like nearly 20. So I definitely came to tech quite late. But the interesting thing was when I started it, I realized a lot of what I'd done in philosophy, like formal logic is basically coding, right? So, and I had done maths as well in uni. So I kind of had that little bit of mathsy head on me as well. And I loved coding. I loved it. I was like, oh my God, I can create things. Like I can make something, do something. This is like alchemy.
Yeah.
And I really, really got into that. So I started then my career as a software developer. And that was my pivot into tech.
Went in the deep end.
End. I did. And again, it's funny because at the time, it was like back in kind of like, I was dealing with like the Y2K problem. Is everything going to fall out of the sky?
Yeah.
Don't worry, I got it.
But and there was no cyber.
There was no cyber. There was no cyber. And you know what as well? There was very little security. Sorry, I won't say very little. There was zero security training, right? When I think about some of the janky code I wrote, like I wince. I really wince. I'm like, And it was like, oh yeah, security Steve's gig. Steve in the corner will deal with that, And it's like, it was not integrated at all into software development. So that kind of, I spent some time working on a digital bank and I was like, you know what, I kind of feel like I missed a trick, kind of not knowing more about security. So I took a year out then and did an MSc in security. And then that was my pivot to security. Right. And here I still am all these years later.
Amazing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It means you have more experiences. Like, look how many layers there are to you now. I love it.
Yeah, and you bring more to the table. I think
I agree.
One of the things we get asked a lot from the people that reach out to us is like, we want to switch careers. We are, I don't know, was it a paramedic? Last one we spoke to.
Cool.
Yeah. Or we are nurses or teachers. Lawyers. I've spoken to lawyers who want to, like, solicitors who want to pivot into tech, and it feels like a dream so far-fetched. And I'm like, you'll be surprised at how many transferable skills you have.
I love that you said that. And you are so spot on. And I think, I feel a lot of, I've said this before, kind of cyber needs a bit of a glow up, right? Mm-hmm. Like there are still kind of preconceptions around what it involves, as you rightly said, and kind of a very tech heavy perception. And I suppose, we're still a bit of a baby industry, right? We're not that old, and I guess we're not kind of as well defined. Mm-hmm. And also, I mean, there are very few careers, I think, that cut across organizations the way cyber does, right? So there is so much space for different aptitudes and talents and backgrounds. And I think, I love that you mentioned that point about like just transferable skills, because I would love us as an industry to be much more welcoming and embracing to get people upskilling and into the industry from interesting backgrounds, because they bring such great diverse perspectives.
Yeah, I love that.
Totally.
So tell us something a colleague won't know about you.
Okay, so people do know this about me, because if you've been on a Zoom call with me, you will see that I'm also a musician. I play the harp, and my harp is always in the background, and it's kind of, I forget that it's there. People are like, is that a harp? And
I can picture that.
Could I be any more Irish?
Gosh. Even with this outfit.
But what people don't know is I've just had my midlife crisis new music purchase, and I have bought an instrument called a theremin, which I don't know if you guys
know.
Yeah. It's basically this electric instrument that you basically play electric frequencies. So you basically don't touch anything, you just wave your hands around. And I was like, I can play music with jazz hands. Now, it's also impossible, right? So I was doing some research, and people were like, yeah, you can pick it up really easily. Lies. So I think all I will be doing is kind of maybe just making some bad noise.
I'm really interested in how you manage your time, because you have a lot going on, but in a good way.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I think for us, we're thinking about our futures, and we're like, oh, if we continue climbing this corporate ladder, are we going to have a life? Are we going to be able to balance it all? So should we get into it now, actually? Yeah, I think I want to know, how are you doing it?
So, that's an excellent question, right? And I think when we work in cyber, most of us, I think, and talking to you too as well, so inspiring, like we care, right? We have a mission, we have a really strong sense of purpose. And a lot of what we do is actually outside of our control, right? I joke sometimes like I'm the chief worry officer, right? 'Cause you have to kind of think about the bad stuff that can happen, and there's that kind of always on piece. And I have to say, I've definitely gone through periods of my career where it's kind of been, a little bit burnouty because I haven't been able to switch off. That also brought me, I'd love to give a shout out to a not-for-profit I've been working with over the last little while called Cyberminds. And basically it's run by this amazing Aussie guy, Peter Coronius. He's just wonderful. He's such an amazing person and human being. He's a 40-year veteran of cyber. He's also, studied neuroscience. So he understands our brains and how they're molded by tech, and how the stresses of cyber and the type of purpose-driven work that we do, but the always-on mentality can actually affect our neural pathways and our approach and our psychology. And he's really leaned in on this and kind of found that actually there's very simple, straightforward kind of mental exercises that we can do that actually kind of gives us a little bit of a reprogramming of some of those neural pathways, and just creates the space. We're often in this kind of constant adrenaline, constant fight or flight, like all of the dopamine, all, you know what I mean? And actually it just kind of gives you that space to kind of get more kind of emotional regulation, to get your sleep back on track and everything. So I have just felt very blessed to be supporting them with their mission. And it's something I feel that every cyber practitioner actually should start kind of just spending some time on it's psychological resilience, right? And when we talk about resilience, we kind of always optimize on the technology and the process and the people in terms of who are the people fixing things. But we have to fix the people as well, right? Like we have to, and give them the tools to kind of support themselves and look after themselves. Yeah.
So is that what you do? Is that how you manage your time?
Well, it is. And also, I mean, I have to say, like it is very easy to, like, there's always going to be more work, right? There's always going to be something more to do, and I'm very enthusiastic and I'm a doer, right? So I do have to kind of be a little bit kind of deliberate with myself and kind of try and really, really kind of make myself switch off. Also, my husband is amazing because he's very patient when the weekend bad thing happens and you have to kind of go and pivot your plans and just lean in. But he's also good at kind of going, okay, just shut the laptop now. So I'm very lucky to have that support.
And that balance.
I remember like when I first spoke to Brunwin and she told me about Cyberminds, I was like, I didn't like. It was just like, oh my goodness, we so need that. And oh my goodness, how have I never heard of this before? Because a lot of the people, and we've spoken about this, people talk about a lot of the perks working in cyber, and it's money, flexibility. And we were saying it actually comes at a cost.
It can do, yeah.
And yeah, from the outside, sometimes it's very romanticized, and we will talk about when we left uni, the first thing we wanted to do, like whenever they used to be like, what do you do? CISO. And then afterwards we were like, nah, not CISO. No, not CISO.
No, girls, please be CISOs. Yeah. We need more female CISOs.
But I feel like it was because of the leaders we've seen.
Absolutely.
Who are burnt out.
Yeah.
They burn out.
Yeah.
And they're just bad vibes because of how mentally draining this job can be.
Yeah.
So this whole Cyberminds thing, like we will link it in the bio or whatever.
Yes. Thank you.
I think it's amazing. I really do see value in this piece of work because I've seen women struggle a lot with it.
Yeah.
And their mental health just deteriorating. And not just women. I know it's for everyone, but I think women are especially sensitive to that.
Absolutely. I've had my own experiences where I had to take a long period of time off work because I burnt out and I went straight back into it and I didn't make any changes.
Bless you, yeah.
I literally just burnt out completely.
Yeah.
So I came back and I just went right back into it like nothing ever happened. The second time I burned out was 10 times worse than the first time. So I ended up having to take a really long bit, like a few months. I say.
It's like it takes 6 months to recover from burnout, something crazy like that. It's not just a weekend fix.
No.
Exactly.
It's
and
not just one
sometimes
line.
we believe it is, I just need a break.
We want to think it is.
No. And it's that making, now I've learned my lesson. After my body said,
Bless you.
you're going to learn. But it's about implementing that. It's about implementing ways that work for you.
Absolutely.
So that right, I have to take a lunch break. I have to go for a walk. In my case, I have to go to the gym.
Exactly.
I need to eat right. And not just sit at the desk all day for 12 hours because you have loads to do.
Exactly.
And being honest with your company or
Do you know, and that is such an important point. And I think the other thing as well is like you've been through it, right? So you will have a very good spidey sense for others and be able to kind of help them take care of themselves as well. I think the idea of creating safe spaces to talk about this and normalize talking about it, you know, we've to your point, Ro, again about the kind of romanticization, you know, there can be a little bit of the hero complex or like, I'm fine, you know, I'm kind of defending the fortress. And, you know, actually, do you know what? We just have to normalize kind of saying it's okay to not be okay.
What is valuable about having a CISO in an organization? Why do we need a CISO?
So look, I think it is more and more kind of accepted that basically nearly every company is a digital company these days. You know, cyber is an existential risk for a lot of businesses now. You know, it really is. I mean, if something hits, it can go very wrong very quickly. It can be very
finance.
100%, right? It can be very costly. It can be very damaging to your customers, both kind of individually and kind of as a collective. And really having a CISO there to kind of make sure that the accountability is there, that the commitment is there, that the ethics are there is just it's pretty vital from a corporate governance perspective these days.
Yeah. There's a question that we were going to ask later, but now we're on this, we might as well. So obviously, you said CISO is responsible, and a lot of the times, we all know that could mean fines. It could mean a lot of things, but in extreme circumstances, it can also mean prison sentence. How do you sleep at night? Like, what?
You know, it's really interesting. Again, if you look at a lot of the legislation that's been coming through, DORA is a great example, the Digital Operational Resilience Act that came in January. There is this push now for C-suite accountability, not just for CISOs, but, you know, tech leaders as well, you know, where they can be personally penalised if they're not making the right decisions. And look, you know, it is a worry, right? And I think particularly, again, for US companies, I mean, I know a lot of my CISO pals in the US are kind of concerned around that personal liability piece.
Yeah.
I guess for me, again, you know, it's down to kind of ethics and doing the right thing. I think if you are taking the right proportionate measures and you're kind of leaning in where you can, and also you're having very open conversations, and, you know, if you're getting a kind of a board agreement where they're kind of making a trade-off and they're saying, look, we're not going to sign up on certain things, you can hold your head up high and you can say, look, you know, this is actually a business decision to accept. This is my recommendation. And I think, you know, at that point, you know, you should be okay to sleep at night. I think where it has been problematic, I guess, if there's stuff that's hidden or there's a lack of transparency. And again, that can be so challenging. You know, that can be so challenging if you're in a company that, you know, has that type of culture. So I think one of the really important things to learn as a CISO is when to walk away.
Yes. That's really interesting.
It is.
That's really
because
interesting.
I think from my perspective, when I see CISOs, most of you come across, I don't know, maybe it's the fact that you're at that level, you come across like calm. Like, and I'm guessing you have to do that because you're a leader. And if you're not calm, I'm not calm, because now I'm like, she's worried, I'm worried. You know, is my job secure? Is what's going on? Are we making the right choices? But it's just interesting because you have all of this weight on your shoulders and yet still you're like, I can sleep at night. Has that been over your career, getting to this point and learning that?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I've had kind of, again, in my squiggles, I've had ups and downs as well, where kind of there's been very high anxiety levels. And again, you know, I have to give a massive shout out to my peeps at PPRO, right? Because it is a very trusting, collaborative culture. And I know that, you know, if something goes wrong, we all kind of lean in and we fix it. We've got a very, very empathetic, very collaborative approach, and that's, you know, we're greater than, you know, the sum is greater than the whole of the parts, right? Is that the right word? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And that really is very, very reassuring, right? So I mean, there was an industry event a few weeks ago where GitHub was compromised, and, you know, again, it's a Saturday. It's like, okay, sorry folks, here we are. And basically everybody's jumping. It's all super kind of supportive. It's a really, really wonderful feeling to know that people have your back and that, you know, we're all doing the right thing for the company. So that brings it's as good as a nice cup of cocoa in the evening in terms of your sleep pattern.
I feel like as well, like you touched upon like the ups and the downs and this whole thing around, and I don't think anyone ever prepared me for this, but it was like, there's going to be some good companies and then there's going to be some really shitty companies. And it's to your point when you said just know when to walk away. And I think it's really interesting, and I think it's a perception buster, if anything, is that you might not go into your first company, your first role, and be like, love this, perfect. And if you do, then you might not go to the next one and be like, it's perfect, it's comfortable. But I feel like from personal experiences, you'll get there.
Yeah.
It's just a journey you have to go on. And I remember like mentors have told me in the past that you will learn more in those bad places
100%,
than you ever will in a nice, comfortable, cushy spot.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really important. And I think it's really interesting that it's not just us, leaders also go through that, where they find environments and they're there and they're like, this is not quite my vibe. And I just don't like it. And I want to be supported as a leader too.
Exactly.
Right? So I think that's really important.
And I think Roha and I worked together. So that's how we met. And the company we worked for, we didn't realize what we had. It was so good.
Oh, bless. Yeah,
It was
yeah.
we can say the company we worked for, Sainsbury's.
Right.
But it was like my first job out of uni, so I just thought this was the
norm.
Yeah. No one told me. I thought this was baseline. I'm like, okay. Do you know what, Brunwin? When I moved companies, the thought didn't even occur to me that
We were gonna,
is it going to be the same culture? Like that wasn't even a thing. I'm
we
like,
just thought it was given.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
every
given.
company must be like this.
shocked the system.
Yeah, it was super diverse. Like, the team was amazing, but that wasn't my first job out of uni. But again, like Roha, it was like, this is a big company, so as long as I go to another big company, I'm sure I'm going to get this again, and I can be better, and I can bring more knowledge, and with your experiences you learn more. And like Roha, I think we left around the same time.
You left just before me.
Okay, so I left first, and I left, and I was like, I'm like, it's okay. This new company I'm at is okay. But again, like Roha, it's just the case of going, right, it's not perfect, but now because I've worked somewhere so good, I can now bring all of those good experiences and all the things I liked about that company, I can bring it here and add real value. Because if you're somewhere perfect,
You're never
what
gonna-
value are you really adding?
Yeah. I think as well it's about something I had to unlearn is do not internalize that problem.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And do not make it a you problem.
Yeah.
And I think it's taken me a long time to be like, this company is a certain way. That's not me.
Yeah.
Because I thought there was something wrong with me. I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like,
I remember.
right? And I'm like, maybe cyber's just not the one for me. Like, we've had so many conversations where I'm like,
I've had that
and
too,
I've had people tell me that, okay, well, cyber's not for you. And I'm like, shit, what am I going to do now with my life? Like, this isn't the place for me. And really, it was just the environment wasn't right for me.
Exactly. And I think, again, like you're absolutely spot on. I mean, it happens. And again, knowing when you can influence things and you can role model the good stuff you've seen and be that positive, force multiplier and agent of change for the good is amazing. Knowing also where you can't and actually you need to go and find your tribe is also really, really super important. And I will say something, again, we are so lucky. The cyber community is a very, very tight-knit, very supportive community.
For anyone coming into the industry, someone's going to know someone everywhere you go.
Absolutely. And again, I think the idea of reaching out, if you're in that sort of situation, just get some moral support, get folks to help. There's a lot of us here who'd be very happy to lend an ear and just make sure that
That's one thing I love about this industry is the mentorship side. So when you say tight-knit, it's almost like a really big family, lots of cousins you don't know. But but at the end of the day, anyone that I've ever asked for mentorship from has always said yes.
Yeah.
Always. Like, I've never got a no.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the way I ask, who knows? But we're all really busy people. So when people do say yes to be my mentor, I don't take that lightly because I know you're taking time out of your day to help me better my career.
Brilliant.
So yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that. And again, it's such an important thing for all of us, right? Because again, everybody gets something out of the relationship. I learned so much from the folks that I mentor as well. And also I feel really honoured to kind of pay forward. I've had some amazing mentors in my life. I worked with an absolutely phenomenal woman, Sharon Barber. She was the CISO at Lloyd's and then she was the CIO at Lloyd's and she sits on, the government cyber advisory board. She's absolutely incredible. And I kind of feel, wow, I probably wouldn't have had the bottle to take a CISO role if it hadn't been for some of her advice and sponsorship. So, thanks, Sharon. And also, just paying it forward. Like, I think there's a real kind of desire in the community to make sure that we're looking after, folks at different levels of their career and that we're just providing a safe space for them to get the support they need.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So I'm always curious. CISOs, how did you get there? Number one. But what actually made you stand out? Like, what was it about you? And what do you feel like you did to get to the point of where you are now?
So it's kind of, that's an excellent question. And again, it's interesting because it's kind of, I've been very lucky. It's happened a little bit organically to a certain extent. But I would say probably there are a couple of factors. One is that I absolutely love collaborating. I love it. I'm a natural, builder of bridges and joiner of dots. I love bringing people together. And that was, I think, really helpful in my career because, again, I was able to kind of explore new avenues with people. I was able to kind of co-create solutions, and your network is your net worth, right? Your net worth, even. Yeah. So I think that desire to kind of work with people was a real enabler, I think. Yes. The other thing actually has always been, I've been super curious about emerging tech. So back when I worked in Barclays, again, I had an amazing boss. Shout out to Stephen Bonner. He is fantastic. He's now at the Information Commissioner's Office and putting the world to rights for privacy. Wow. And he was amazing because he really gave me an awful lot of autonomy to get involved in the initiatives that were kind of, at the time, very kind of, forward thinking and emerging. So we had, Barclays was one of the first to have a digital banking app, the Ping It app. I got involved in social media, like how to use it safely in an organisation. And that's been kind of a bit of a thread, bring your own device. I'm now kind of doing a lot on AI enablement. And again, so I think that curiosity of like...
So you like to be the first.
Well, I not so much the first because it's also a bit scary, but like I think the idea of having security at the table early on and seeing the advantages and also helping to influence kind of safe and responsible embracing of new tech, that's kind of fascinating to me. So I think that was also it certainly kind of paved a way for me to kind of get more involved and yeah, get the career up, start climbing up the ladder, I guess.
So I guess, would you give any tips? I've just taken some from what you said.
Yeah, I've got some as well.
Yeah, but what would you like, if you were speaking to like a 21-year-old just left university, what would you tell her to do?
So I would say, stay curious, like get involved, stay curious, ask the questions, figure out kind of the problem space, and just kind of really lean in. And on that, again, just talk to people, connect. As you said, there's so many people who are so willing to help and support, take advantage of that. But also, again, the amount of resources that are available now. I mean, when I was studying back in the eons ago, really there was very little apart from traditional learning mechanisms. I mean, now you can really kind of self-learn a lot of stuff, and there's so many great resources out there as well. So, yeah, I think just experiment, stay curious, and network for your life.
I like what you said. Your network is your net worth. That's really, really good, and I think that's something. Women watching who want to break into the industry, we say who you know is really important, not just because they will open doors up for you, but because you will see opportunities that you wouldn't have seen if you don't have these people in your network. And I think the second thing as well is you might get your certifications, you can get your degrees. The learning doesn't stop there.
Exactly.
Oh, definitely not. Like, I remember when I was doing my qualifications and certifications, I was like, oh, once I have that, I'm done. Once I have that, I'm done. And then you finish and then you're like, no, it's never done.
It's never done.
Especially in the industry we're in.
Yeah.
Things are changing constantly, daily.
Every day.
So you cannot expect, if you want to go into a role that is static, don't come into
Exactly.
And that's the thing, it's a mindset thing as well. A lot of people they like the idea of breaking into the industry, but do they want to put the work in? Probably not. And I think we've had a few guests speak about that, where it's like you put all this energy and then there's just nothing.
Yes.
So you've got to have a genuine passion, I would say.
I agree with that. And I think, again, like that growth mindset is so important. And it's really funny because I think back and, having studied ancient civilization, that is a time-bound subject.
Yeah,
that's not really changing. It might, how you interpret it might differ from time to time. But, I find it kind of bamboozling that I went from that to like cyber, which is constantly evolving. And, sometimes that can be a bit challenging as well. Sometimes, again, it is an extra kind of, I suppose, overhead, but actually it's also an amazing opportunity. And for me, the most incredible thing also is, we use tech in every part of our lives. Our lives are so influenced by how we engage digitally, and actually working in a discipline that gives us that kind of psychological insight and that sociological insight, I find really fascinating.
Okay, I love that. Carrying on from Shayla's question, does it get lonely at the top?
Ooh.
Do you know what? It can do. But I'm I'm a friendly kind of girl, and I like my tribe.
You seem too fun to be.
Well, so, again, I think it depends on the culture, and again, I certainly have been, in situations, and again, when you're making difficult decisions, where you're kind of having to make calls that, it's. I love a win-win situation. I love them, but you can't always get that right. So it can be a little bit lonely, but again, that's where the community comes in. That's where, again, I have, as I said, I'm so lucky where I am now. There's always somebody that you can kind of bounce ideas off and kind of get some support. So I think, again, as long as you're kind of keeping that outreach, and again, just stay vulnerable, stay open, that the support is there for you when you need it.
Yeah.
And do you, just based on that, so you obviously need to be consulted or given recommendations when you are making those decisions. How do you hire people? Is it based on their personalities? Do you hire people that are like, actually, he's smarter than me, I need that person on the team? Is it a bit of everything?
It's a bit of both there. And again, Stephen, who I mentioned, my fabulous boss back at Barclays, he used to kind of say, I'm hiring you so that I can work for you one day. And I was like, that really stuck in my head. And we did end up working together because he went to KPMG as a partner, and I was like, oh, look at us. So that was lovely. Thank you, Stephen. I have a lot of gratitude for some very, very amazing people I've had the pleasure of working with. But I think to that point about kind of you can teach technical skills, you can teach disciplines, you can't teach attitude, right? So for me, actually, that again, people who are curious, people who want to kind of explore, who want to own things, who want to take accountability, who want to learn, that is amazing. And also, to your point again about the kind of creative side, we want to have as many diverse views, as many kind of different opinions. That's how we best serve our diverse customers. It's how we best kind of figure out kind of, again, particularly when you're doing threat modeling or pen testing or whatever, like what can go wrong, right? You need lots of different perspectives on that. So having a really diverse team is just essential.
I have a question, and it's not one that's on here, and it just came up, and I know the viewers will probably have this question too.
Go on.
You've called out a lot of people and said, this person helped me, this person helped me. How did you get that help?
Some of it was, some of it was the right place at the right time, and again, I think it's back to that kind of networking. So I have to tell, this is a funny story. The reason I'm living in the UK is because I came over to come to a charity ball. So have you guys heard of the White Hat Ball that's on it?
Yes.
Yeah. And again, like the serendipity that came from this, I came over, I was working with Ernst & Young in Dublin at the time, came over, I was asked to come over and with the team and go to this ball for charity. I met Stephen at that ball and we just got on famously. And then 6 months later, he was like, I'm setting up a team. Do you want to come over and move to London? And I was like, that was not on my bingo card, but okay. And I moved over. And then I ended up spending 7 years volunteering with Childline because I was like, do you know what? This is my payback. But you meet people in the most kind of interesting places, and when you stay connected, like the universe pushes things your way.
Yeah. But then again, I met Brunwin through someone I knew, and it's again the whole thing about networking.
Yeah,
it's so important.
And as the industry is not that big, and it's still quite new, somewhat, it's important that you try and put your best foot forward regardless of the situation. So again, if anyone's or for anyone watching, it's more of a case of you saying, right, you're doing everything with an intention.
Yeah.
It's like you always know when someone's not genuine.
Yeah.
You always know it. You can almost just see through it. So it's about putting your best foot forward and making sure, like for me, like I said earlier, when I ask my mentors to be my mentor, I don't just ask for the sake of asking. I ask because I genuinely need it, want it, and I look up to these people. So, it's just really interesting. I also have a question that's not on here. So well, partly on here and partly not. So you're a CISO.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was your plan or not. Well, you've told me you wanted to be a Swiss lady, so I know it wasn't your plan.
We're not letting that
Not letting that go. Like, that's the best one we've had.
I love it. I love
That's why I'm going to keep asking that
I
question.
love it.
So, did becoming a CISO meet your expectations? That's part of the question. And then the second part is, where do you go from here? Because me personally, I'm like, when I wanted to become a CISO, I always thought, I'm going to get there. That was always the end goal. But now I'm thinking, actually, there's more beyond that. Well, if you want there to be. So what does that look like for you? What's the next step for Brunwin? Has that been thought about? And is the role meeting your expectations that you're in now?
So, excellent question. I think the first thing I would say, just in terms of kind of expectations, is every organization is so different. The CISO role is by necessity going to be different. I've done 3 CISO roles now, and each one has been completely different. And actually, one of the kind of hardest things nearly is kind of going in with a blank slate, and then having the skills and the experience to draw on when you need it, but not coming in with a set pattern of, hey, this worked in this company, right? So you nearly have to kind of rewind and kind of like blank slate yourself.
Yes.
And it's funny, I've got a very good friend who I've worked with for many years who's just stepped into his first CISO role. And I remember when he was getting ready, he was like, I'm going to do all this research. And I was like, dude, clear your mind. Literally, clear your mind. Because honestly, I was like, I wish somebody had told me this, because I was the same. I did all this prep work and then I was like, I could have just had a little break. But you do, which is, and I love that about it as well. Like, I love the idea that, again, there is that totally new landscape and challenge, and you can shape it, you can influence it, and you can draw on your experience. But it's definitely not a cookie cutter thing, right? So again, for some people who love repeatability, again, it's not for them. Yeah. So I mean, I think that from an expectations perspective, I think that's kind of key for me. You also ask a great question about what's next. And again, I think this is a really interesting point as well, in that like the CISO role hasn't necessarily branded itself as like a stepping stone to something else. Yeah. And yet, if you look at what we do, right, like we're in every part of the business, we have a very good view on the risk side. We've got a very good view on operations, and we've got a very good view on kind of the business strategy. So there's a plethora of different roles that you could move into. I also love the fact, again, I mean, I'm really enjoying doing more advisory work, and I kind of do a bit of that kind of around the edges, particularly for startups, right, where, they're bootstrapping, they don't have a lot of people and investment. And actually, again, there's some very kind of low cost, low friction steps that you can do early on in a business that will really save you pain further down. And it will also really build credibility with kind of your go-to-market proposition, with your kind of prospective kind of early customers. So I really enjoy that side of things as well, and kind of helping to kind of enable some of the kind of the next gen of entrepreneurs.
I love that. That's interesting. Yeah. So as a female CISO, now that we're talking about it, in a male-dominated environment, how do you find your voice?
Well,
have you struggled with it?
Do you know what? I have at times.
Okay.
And look, I have to say again, there's been, like, if you think about like since I started out, right, we've had a sea change really, I think, in terms of kind of making sure there's better representation. But stuff still happens. I mean, I've had people come up to me and go, "Oh, I interviewed for that role, but I didn't get it because I'm not a woman." Yeah. And well, and I mean, look, it's again, like, well, I think again, it's like we're seeing it with some of this diversity backlash. It's like, do you know what, guys? Also, because it's mostly the guys, sorry, it just makes business sense. Like, it's financially proven to give you better business outcomes, right? So,
and if you're better, there's no need to justify it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah. So look, I mean, it can be, to your point about being lonely as well. Like, sometimes when you're the only female in the room, and I mean, also, women of color, like, you've been there, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting here with my white privilege, like, if it's hard for, you know what I mean, I'm like very aware of that as well. But again, I think, one of the things as well I love about working at PPRO, our CEO is absolutely incredible, Motti, and he is kind of an LGBT trailblazer. He has been rightly accoladed at the industry for really building an inclusive environment, and that is something we optimize for. And it shows actually that you can build a really successful, high performance performing team that has diversity and inclusion at the core of it.
I love that. It's your CISO, your CEO.
CEO.
We need a job here.
Props to Maddie.
The company.
Do you have a new role?
Networking.
We'll be expanding.
The reason I love that it's the CEO is because I've worked in companies where all they do about diversity is like, all right, just get a team to deal with that. And they say, oh, we are diverse and we do all of these things, but it's not, again, you can see through when it's not genuine, it's not authentic.
Yeah.
Because it's just a tick box. How many women do we have in the team? Have we done that yet? Like, it works in our favor. And I say this when I mentor people. I'm like,
but that's if
now's
they
a
care.
good time.
Yeah, like I'll tell this story.
Go on.
Brunwin, you know this story. You'll be like, what? So I was working in an organization, or it was at this organization, and their CISO was asked the question about D&I, and he said,
Yes.
"What's D&I?"
Oh.
And I swear, I was like,
Okay. Yeah.
and then
Crickets.
like diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
And then he just bullshit something. The point was that like, so people still don't like. I just don't have words. I think that was really bad.
No, it was really bad. And there was a time as well, this is your story, but Roha had an interview and they're like, we're so diverse. And you turned around and asked them,
Oh yeah, I love
well,
this.
why haven't I had any
Female
women do the interview if you're so diverse? Different stages of the interview.
And he just started laughing. He's like, I like you. I'm like, good. It's a genuine
Calling
question.
BS when you see it, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I think you're both on the nail there. Like, it's like, you know, you can tell when it's genuine and you can tell when it's optics, right? And I think, again, you know, I'm really lucky. I have an absolutely brilliant team that I'm working with. They're just awesome. And again, we're pretty much 50-50 men and women, right? Yeah.
Whole team?
Yeah. I mean, 45%, I think, which is
Whole
like
team?
it's, for in my team, which
That's
is,
amazing.
and I'm so proud of them all. And they just work really, 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 really well together. And one of the amazing gals in my team, our security specialist, Maria, we were talking about kind of some of the challenges in the industry. And she was like, do you know, I just don't feel this. I don't see it. I don't feel it. I feel like I've been able to really achieve as a woman. I don't feel like I've had any blockers and I feel like I've been supported. I was like, yes. So, you know, I think
That's credit to you.
Well, it's credit to the community, right? Yes. It's all credit to the community. Where I do think we need to really focus, though, I mean, we're definitely course correcting, I think, for people who are in cyber.
Yes.
One of the areas I worry about is actually the pipeline of young women and girls who want to kind of, you know, are they seeing cyber as an attractive option? I was at my lovely niece Indigo, she's down in Brighton, and her school had a kind of graduation ceremony for kind of the girls who were leaving doing their A-levels, and there was 120 girls graduating and only 2 were going into tech.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. Here was me with my, we're doing so well. And it's like, hang on a minute. We're doing well for folks at a certain level, but where's our pipeline of talent?
Absolutely.
So we need to get into schools. We need to talk to our kids. We need to kind of really kind of show them the rewarding kind of opportunities that are in cyber.
You are doing exactly what you're talking about now. So just this podcast alone is one of the reasons we said, right, we're going to start this podcast was to get to younger people.
Brilliant.
Because there are so many young people that are still like, cyber, oh, I don't know how to code.
Right.
What? You don't need to know how to code.
Exactly.
Or
I don't think
it's too technical.
I
or
think
they just don't have a clue.
Yeah. And if your families are not tech savvy, a lot of children will not really know what cyber is growing up.
100%.
The only reason I knew is because of an uncle.
There you go.
And by
why did
accident,
you come in?
I accidentally fell into it. I closed my eyes. I was like, oh, this looks good. I'll go for it. It wasn't even called cyber. It was computer security. My parents are not tech savvy. I don't have anyone in my family that works in tech.
Good for you.
I just fell into
trailblazing.
it. Yeah, but not everyone's that lucky.
Exactly.
Especially people of colour.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm just going to say it.
No,
Yeah,
you're
absolutely.
right. The only reason I picked up on it was because, like I said, my uncle, and it was the wealthy people in my family that were all in tech,
Yeah.
the wealthier.
Yeah.
So it was almost like I want money. I want
What are we missing here?
I want money and I want freedom, and I want to do something that I might enjoy, and I know that I can fall back on my uncles or family members when I need help. So imagine not having that. I probably would have never thought about this.
I think on that as well, like I remember speaking to this lady who was in the healthcare, and she said that she wanted to move into tech growing up, and her parents were like, no, respected careers are in healthcare. And I think that was before tech blew up the way it has, and now we've got it, like AI and all of this sexy
It's
stuff.
respected now.
Yeah, but I think before that it was just kind of like, we don't know what that is, you're not doing it, we're going into law.
The more traditional kind of professions. I
think people are seeing it differently now.
I think so. You're spot on. And I think two things. I mean, one is like, you know, if you can't see it, you can't be it, right? Exactly. I think the representation, again, what you girls are doing is absolutely fantastic, because you are reaching a demographic, again, that may not have that visibility. And I think the other piece as well is, like, if you look at some of those traditional professions, they're going to get massively disrupted over the next few years with AI, and it's going to really need people, again, who understand how to safely apply AI and where should the human be in the loop, and all of those sort of decisions. So it's going to be a very interesting evolution,
for sure. I want to come back to AI. I want to skip through the questions and talk about AI. Before I do, I have a question for you, and this is really interesting. So you actually did a talk about Taylor Swift being a CISO. What? Yeah. Tell us about that. Like, what?
Bit of Tay-Tay.
I want to know.
I love you more and more after every single question. I'm like, why did I not know this woman before?
Yeah, why don't, like, if we had this,
I love it.
Like, oh, this would be amazing.
Well, this was kind of part of it. So it was for, again, Cheryl, who introduced us, again, an amazing powerhouse, Cheryl Rosell. We love you, absolutely, at Amazon, at AWS. And again, doing amazing work to host events to get women into the cyber world and kind of get them to learn more about it. And I was really conscious there was going to be a load of people there who maybe didn't know anything about cyber. And I wanted to make it as accessible as possible. And I was like, well, I mean, people have heard of Taylor Swift. Everyone's heard of Tay-Tay. So I mean, but also, you know, again, so much of her qualities are what you need to be a CISO, right? So I was talking about her storytelling, you know, how she kind of has that narrative and how she can kind of build that story, and that's what we do. I know we're going to talk a little bit about that now. She's also super tech savvy, right? So if you look at kind of some of the stuff that she's done, very groundbreaking stuff. She's invested in tech firms, the stuff that she's done, facial recognition at her concerts for safety, her bracelets, you know, the Tay-Tay bracelets at her concerts, amazing. She's also had to do a lot of incident response, right? There was deep fakes of her that she had to respond. So I was like, my goodness. And also like her tribe, right? Her, you know, the Swifties, like her tapping into community. So, you know, there's quite a lot of parallels. But it was, for me, again, it was just a device to kind of show, again, those lateral skills and how to kind of embrace a career that spans so many different diverse areas.
That is so interesting.
You are a storyteller. Because what CISO takes Taylor Swift and cybersecurity?
Only the coolest CISO in the world.
So well, like Brunwin.
I love that.
Like, yeah.
That's so cool. So cool. I love that. There's loads of questions, but before like we forget, I want to talk about AI.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about AI. And I guess there's two parts to this. One part is companies and their use of AI and what that means for some jobs and some industries and what you think, what you see happening. And I guess the second bit is people in their everyday life using AI and what they should be aware of.
So interested in this question. So much to unpack.
Yeah, no, sorry.
So look, you know, we are, you know, it's a brave new world, right? It's a whole digital frontier, and I think it's bringing amazing opportunities. I'm also slightly concerned about how AI is kind of being deployed, right? In terms of, so recently there's been a lot of rollbacks on kind of the AI safety side of things. Yeah. So, you know, we used to have the AI safety department here. It's now AI security. You know, security is obviously very important, but it feels a little bit like we're moving away from some of that commitment to ethics and responsible application of AI, and that worries me. I don't know if you girls have read Careless People, which is the book, the Facebook's former global head of policy, Sarah Williams, Fascinating read. Absolutely fascinating, and it should be mandatory for anybody in tech, right?
Okay.
Mark Zuckerberg did not want anyone to read that book. But again, it shows, I suppose, how businesses that are kind of optimizing for profit are making decisions that have very, very far-reaching social implications, and that there's kind of no incentives really for them to kind of reduce the harm that they're causing. And one of the worries I have now with AI and the ubiquity of it, and particularly when we're using it in our day-to-day lives, we're seeing this shift, right? So most of the social media companies, you know this concept of the attention economy, right? The attention, keeping your eyeballs, keeping you engaged. What's going to keep you clicking? What's going to keep you, having a rant with somebody, bot possibly, but you're keeping the engagement in. There's now this shift to what they call the intention economy. Okay. And this is kind of scary, right? Because this is the concept that AI will know you better than you know yourself, right? It will know your subconscious desires and thoughts before you're consciously aware of them. And it can, offer to sell you some stuff, or it can convince you to vote a particular way, or, so I think, and again, Meta, OpenAI, Apple, they've all been very open about the fact that they're, this is a new marketplace and they're pushing this. But again, we have advertising regulations for a reason, right? You can't sell, sugar to kids when they're watching their cartoons. We don't have those regulatory safeguards in place around kind of mass AI use. And I think for me, I'm absolutely passionate about educating people, building kind of their critical thinking, helping them to kind of realize again that some of the stuff that's happening when they're engaging with this tech has neurological and psychological implications that we need to prepare for.
So say, for example, ChatGPT, right? This is for the end user. Everyone uses it. They're like putting in everything, from symptoms to, I don't know, like desires to convincing someone to do something. What's the danger there? Like, I know you've said it's that AI has all this information about you, but what else do you think is the danger here now?
So I think we're seeing this rise of agentic AI. So that's probably the new buzzword this year. And basically, ChatGPT, or the current LLMs that are generative, they give you an output and you decide what to do with it. Mm-hmm. We're now seeing AI agents that will take action on your behalf, right? And I think that's probably the big shift, right? Because this is a whole new world, right? And again, there'll be loads of really cool use cases. There'll be lots of positive value from these. The likes of Salesforce are kind of looking at this now around kind of automating and orchestrating customer relationship management. You've got the likes of, ServiceNow, again, looking at kind of some of that service desk piece. So there's lots of great applications. But again, you can kind of think if you're somebody and you're saying, okay, I've got my AI agent that's going to, I don't know, do my shopping or help me get the kind of the feedback loop of, seeding some of our decision making to a kind of, again, an autonomous agent that's, again, is it always going to act in our best interests, or is it going to act in the best interests of whoever's paying the bill?
Absolutely.
Free things aren't really free. Is that whole concept?
Here's the product. Exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
And I see it from a business perspective, because if I'm a company and I have a store, or I have stores all over the country, all over the world, I know, I can potentially move everyone out of the stores, make more profits, and have customers walk in. I actually worked on a project, going off topic a little bit. I actually worked on a project where we were testing out having, they called it personless stores,
right,
which stores do now.
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking, so the goal was you walk in, your phone will tell you, usually this time of the month you buy period pads, or, you really like bananas, you haven't purchased that in a while. Facial recognition, it knows who you are as you walk in. You don't need someone to do the tills because your card details are already in the app. You just got to scan it and leave the store. And I remember thinking, wow, we're really losing the human touch.
That's so spanned.
And that's scary to me.
Yeah.
Because I love connecting with people. Yeah. So it's just so scary that not only are we moving away from that, but also the fact that security is not being considered. And I don't want a computer to think for me.
It's like a Black Mirror episode.
Literally.
Yeah. I'm like, can we just stop Charlie Brooker writing these things? Because they all come true.
Yeah,
or like, could he write something nice?
Yeah. Good.
So on this AI topic, what industries do you think will be impacted?
Look, I think every industry is going to be impacted, absolutely. And again, I don't want to be pessimistic about this. I think there's huge advantages. I mean, seeing even just the last few weeks, some of the really positive advances in mental health via AI. It is amazing at kind of like understanding cancer and medical symptoms again, but worrisome. Again, a lot of the training data sets that it's learned from are biased, right? So, I mean, again, we have to be really mindful about how it is learned. And it's interesting, right? Because like JD Vance was kind of saying, hey, we have to remove ideological bias from AI. And I'm like, do you basically mean that we have to like just go back to the biased data that it was trained on?
Exactly.
Because that's not going to make
that
well.
inputted it, or
right. So look at I mean, again, I think the interesting thing is it's a funny time geopolitically, and I think again, a lot of the use of AI that we're going to be seeing is going to be very, very much driven from a kind of a very small minority group of the oligarchs. And again, sorry, I as I said, I don't want to be pessimistic about this. I think there's huge positive impacts, but we just have to be a little bit aware and mindful.
Take it with a pinch of salt, because like I've seen conversations about using AI for warfare.
100%.
And that's not good.
Right. And actually it's really interesting because Alphabet, Google's company, they had a commitment, like a long-standing commitment that they weren't going to use AI for warfare or surveillance. That's gone now. Like they've rolled back on that, right? So I think, there's a lot more. It's happening. Yeah. So where's Arnold Schwarzenegger? We're gonna need the Terminator. Will he be back?
You don't. It's scary. It's the whole thing. Like when social media started, no one knew how powerful it can be, and it is great. But then there's the mental health aspect to it. There's so much more to it.
Yeah.
And it makes you want. And we've had these conversations about children having social media and what that means for them, and the new adolescent series that everyone's talking about, social media,
right.
all of this stuff, and now you've got a tool that's even more powerful.
Exactly.
That's scary if it's in the wrong hands. Like when Elon Musk wanted to buy ChatGPT and that company, I was like, no, please no, because that's bad. That's not good.
And we're all using ChatGPT now as our personal little PAs.
Yeah,
I say we are all where we need to.
Just like I was saying again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but my younger sister, she discovered ChatGPT, and she was like, help me convince my mom to do XYZ and write this message, and then I had to kind of take her to the side and be like, nah,
not okay.
Let your brain develop, come up with your own sentences.
Exactly.
And in education, plagiarism, you're going to control that with AI.
Exactly.
And I'm a governor of a school, and I went and asked these questions. I'm like, how are you controlling this? Are you educating kids on AI?
Brilliant.
And
what was the answer?
They said that one of the trustees had raised this, but they don't have any expertise, so they don't know what to do. Right. And I'm like, well, you're lucky you got me.
Yes.
So I have offered to deliver workshops to their teachers.
Well done.
Because I was like, they will be using AI, and if they're using student data, that's dangerous from a data protection point of view. I've offered to do workshops for kids and for parents.
Brilliant. That's amazing. Really, that is such good. Oh, you're positive force for good right here. I love it.
But yeah, I love this. AI forever. Okay.
Great.
So, Brunwin, earlier you mentioned white privilege. This is a topic that I feel like some people tiptoe around, but you actually brought it to the forefront. So do you feel like being a white woman has enabled your career in any way?
I mean, 100%, right? It's easier in the room for sure. I mean, I grew up in Ireland, yes, it was very male dominated, but there was a kind of a very homogenous racial profile. So I know it has, right? I haven't had to have some of the battles and kind of the representation issues that women of colour and people of colour face. And I'm very conscious of that. And it's interesting because actually we did last year, actually one of Cheryl's fantastic AWS events, we had a really amazing panel, and we had some great representation from kind of, Hispanic community, whatever, but there were no Black people on the stage at all. And this woman really kind of spoke truth to power in the audience. She was like, you're talking about representation, and I'm like, there's no Black people here. And I was like, we need you, please, like, help us do better, right? We have to provide space, and we have to also kind of, again, showcase kind of where women of colour and people of colour are doing really well. There's a few, again, I work closely with a few kind of organisations, Global Purpose Enterprise is one, where they're mentoring Black kids who, again, haven't had access to they don't understand the corporate world, right? And they may not have had access to tech. They may not have had access, again, to mentors to kind of help them. And again, I think we have to really think about, really intentionally creating spaces and opening up for that. I think the other piece that we also really need to think about, again, is kind of socioeconomic mobility. Because again, we touched on this, if you come from a school with no access to tech, or you're coming from, a family with very limited resources, it's very, very difficult to kind of build that digital knowledge that will enable you to even see a career in cyber. And that digital divide is really growing. And I think, again, it's something that we really need to think about at a policy level, but it's also something we need to think about day to day in terms of how we're practicing. So again, working in our communities and kind of helping to kind of outreach to folks who haven't had the privilege that I've had is super important.
I couldn't agree more. You spoke to some of my personal experiences in that description. So my mum had me. She was a teen mum. I grew up in not the richest of areas. And my school, probably, looking back, as you were talking, I was like, actually, my school didn't have tech. I had to wait until secondary school. And having access to these things was not normal. It wasn't. It was almost like if it did happen, I would almost be like, wow. Oh, I have a computer now. Like, that was a big thing. Yeah. Whereas all my friends, most of them grew up with it in the house. And I'm like, I think I got my first computer or access to the first computer. I was like in year 9. Right. So I was in school. I remember this teacher, this was probably my first experience in wanting to get into tech. And one of the teachers, she said, it was ICT, just started doing the classes. And she said to me, "You're really good at this." And I was like, I don't even have a computer at home. And she said, you're going to stay after school. Brilliant. You're going to tell your mum, and we're going to get you to type fast. So within like 3 weeks, I was typing really quickly. Oh, she's like, I want you to look at the screen, don't look down, and you're going to feel. Anyway, so having, I think, community support and pushing it out there and just information. I just didn't know what I don't know.
Exactly, yeah.
And I can only imagine how much young people are out there that just do not know. So I'm hoping that with this podcast and with people like you in roles like this are going to make that difference. So thank you.
I agree. I think you're talking about it from your point of view, but I still speak to kids and they don't know anything.
Absolutely.
So it's not. I don't.
But I love that you're having the conversation.
Yes.
Though. Like you're bringing that perspective to them, and you're giving them that insight, which is so important.
Yeah. No, I think so. And for me, it's just giving back, because something somewhere happened that something inspired me. And actually, like when I say I fell into tech, I came across this course that said computer security with forensics. I had no idea what it means. And I went on my neighbour's door and I knocked on and I said, "Brian, I don't know what this is. And what should I do? I don't know what to do." And he's like, "Oh, just give me a second. Let me have a think about it." And then he knocked on and he said, "You should go for it. You should do cybersecurity."
We love Brian.
Yeah.
More Brian, please.
Yeah. And it's that, though. It's someone who wasn't actually a person of colour. They were from a different background to me, and they are the ones that pushed me. And I think it's like you've touched upon it, like you're involved with different organisations that are supporting those demographics. I think it's just about, we all have work to do here. Yeah, and it's not just, when I was at Sainsbury's, I remember I asked someone to do a talk on D&I, and he was a black leader, and he said to me, "You've achieved D&I when it's not the minorities talking about D&I." Yeah. And he goes, "That's when you've reached equality." Nice. And I was like, that's really profound. So the point is we all have a role to play here.
Absolutely.
And there's space for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's more than enough space for everyone. 100%. And I think we just need to remember that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to move on to the fun bit. If this hasn't already been fun, which I'm sure it has.
It's all been fun.
It's been really fun.
So, like, one of the questions here, like, this is, like, uncomfortable questions, and it's more about getting your reaction to some of the stuff women hear in the industry.
Okay, yeah.
Some of it's personal experiences, okay? And if you feel really uncomfortable, just let us know.
Okay.
So, okay, I'll start. We'll make a few up if needed.
Yes, if needed.
Okay. So the first one is, "You look really pretty. What are you doing tonight?"
Oh my God, I'm having
That was such a
flashbacks.
feminine reaction.
I'm having
You were
flashbacks.
flashing.
I have to tell you, right? Actually, like this is quite bad. I remember my very first job, my very first performance appraisal started with my manager, who's a guy, saying, "We're going to start with one question, and this question is going to impact the appraisal.
Okay.
Will you go on a date with me?"
Damn.
And I was like, "Oh no, yeah."
Wait, but does he mean if you said no, that's good?
Yeah.
Or if
No,
you-
no. If I said no, that I was getting a crap appraisal, which I did.
No.
What? Yeah. Oh my
Wait.
God! Wait, what? I'm like, what?
Yeah. You know,
So that was a bit awkward. So we've moved on a very long way.
like, so yeah, what are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm going to have a nice bucket of wine, I think, after this.
I still can't get.
Can I come and hang out with you guys?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, sorry, that might be a little controversial, but that, yeah,
Nah,
true story, true
That's
story.
crazy. That's
Do you still talk to him?
I did not talk to him for a very long time after that. But again, you know, it was just, that was kind of common, like a, you know, that, like it was like the, you know, early 2000s. It was like a long time ago.
Oh,
so,
and there
yeah.
I am complaining about someone complimented my dress and I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like a man complimented me and I was like, I'm uncomfortable. Don't like this. You got full blown come on a date with me or else. You got threatened.
I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah.
Go on.
Oh,
you do the
sorry.
next
Sorry, that was a bit of a mic
Yeah,
drop.
you threw us off.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
really good. Wow. Anyway. Are you in a relationship?
I am very happily married. Thank you
man.
very much to my husband. But yeah.
Has anyone ever asked you that at work?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So this is something that someone said to me, Sainsbury's, when we bonded. I'm going to say it to you, and I'm really sorry because it's disgusting.
It's okay.
And I'm like, okay.
Are you going to say it in the same tone?
You're really, yeah, you're channeling. Well, I mean, I didn't know that was a career option.
This is a
Definitely haven't lost weight, but you know, like, did someone say that to you?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I was on a video call, so I'm like, how can you even see that I've put on weight? He said, you've put on weight. I think he said, you've put on weight.
Put on weight. Yes.
And then said, like, if cyber doesn't work, then this is me out of uni, Brunwin. I was like 3 months into this job. I was crying. I was like, I don't even know what to do.
Yeah,
How we connected.
This is how we connected. I called her crying, and he was just like, well, if cyber doesn't work out, you can become the queen of Bollywood.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like,
No
okay.
words.
Yeah.
I mean, I have words, but I'm not going to say them.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Probably not appropriate.
Yeah, but yeah, true story. Do you want to do the last one?
Pause. Which one?
Do you fancy a drink after work?
Oh, I completely missed that one.
Okay.
All right, cool. And can we do this or that? We'll just do like 3.
Okay, go on.
Yeah? I always love this or that.
Okay.
All right. Next one. All right. So, Bronwyn, do you fancy a drink after work?
It depends on who it's with.
I get that. No, I get that. Sometimes as well, it's like when your colleagues ask you that, you're a bit like, I might just want to go home.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. Okay, we're going to do just this or that. Last ones, we'll do like 2 or 3.
Love it.
And this is just to get to know Brunwin. It's a bit surface level, actually. All right, but I want to know. So, summer or winter?
Summer.
Oh, BMW or Mercedes?
I don't drive, so neither.
Oh,
No, right. I'm like useless at the practical things.
that's interesting. Okay, you got one?
No.
Okay, cats or dogs?
Oh, I mean, I have to say dogs because otherwise my dog would disown me. So.
London or Dublin?
Do you know? Don't make me choose. Literally, don't make me choose.
Okay.
They both have a special place in my heart.
You go back often?
I go back as often as I can. Yeah, really, I miss my mom, so I like to get back. Yeah, mum's back home, and my amazing sister and my nieces. So yeah, I try and get back as often as I can.
Okay.
Well, this has been amazing.
has.
We're going to wrap up because time has flown.
It has.
The last question I have is, what is one piece of advice you would give to young women who want to come into the cyber industry or who are thinking about coming into the cyber industry?
Come on in. Come on in. Like really, I mean, it's a great industry. There's so many opportunities. There's so many great people. And you know, we need all the bright minds and enthusiasm and kind of skills that they can bring. So yeah, come on in, the water's lovely.
Absolutely. And it's not just for young, like, you're not just talking to the young people.
Absolutely.
The women, we had a lady in her 50s and she was like, it's too late, I can't career change.
Never too
I
late.
would love to get into cyber. I said, do it.
Absolutely.
Do it.
Absolutely.
So I've seen it happen. But yes, we're wrapping up, finishing.
Thank you, Brunwin.
It's been amazing.
You're amazing.
You
we
girls
have
are
to invite
amazing.
you
Mutual
back.
amazing society, honestly.
You are coming back.
I'd love to.
It's been absolutely amazing. We are blown away with the amount of knowledge, expertise, advice that you've given today. And I loved it. I loved every moment of it.
I enjoyed so much, and you're just doing such a great initiative with this. I'm super supportive, so looking forward to waving all the pom poms for you as you continue the journey.
Thank you.